Hi, moral recap here. Today I'm going to explain about a Korean film called Commitment. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The film starts off with Lee sitting with an elderly woman who is treating him a drink. They chat and she asks him if he has anyone in the north. Lee presents her a picture which we, the viewers, don't yet see. She tells him to forget what's happened and go live a happy life. When Lee walks out of that place, he is being followed by some people. He fights them off, but is quickly surrounded by a full police force, SWAT squads, and snipers aiming at him. A policeman shouts to him not to make a scene and just go with them. Lee smiles and puts his hand inside his jacket. The police think he's going to pull a gun out, and they shoot him. Lee drops dead, and a picture falls out of his hand. It depicts him with two kids to his side, one boy and one girl. A colonel walks in a prison and asks for Lee's son, Young. He takes the young man to his office and says that he would have a bright career if it wasn't for his traitor father. But there's still a way that he and his younger sister can make it out of that prison. Young asks, "What is it?" And the colonel tells him to become an agent. 2 years later, and we see a killer perform 2 assassinations. The second one takes place in an elevator, which is under surveillance by a CCTV camera. The police later analyzes that footage, and they say that this left-handed assassin seems like a skillful killer from the north. They also mentioned that all the victims of this killer are former members of Unit 8. Young, now going with the name Kang, is taken in by 2 foster parents. Their house is large and nice, and they seem to know that he is an agent. At their first dinner together, the foster father asks Kang which unit he is in. Kang says he is in Unit 8. The foster father tells him to stay out of their business while he lives with them, and they will stay out of his. Kang has also got to go to school. The next morning, he is introduced to his new class, and he takes a seat next to a girl who sits alone. The teacher leaves, and some boys circle around him and his female classmate, Lee. They mess with both of them, but Kang stays calm. They take him outside and punch him. He doesn't react. They take his wallet and also see the picture he is carrying. The same picture that his father had in his pocket when he died. Kang takes the picture back, and the teacher breaks the group before things escalate. Kang catches Lee peeking outside the ballet class. They have a short conversation, and Lee warns him to tell nothing to anyone. In the meantime, yet another assassination takes place in a warehouse. Seems like Korean schools have something called cleaning duty included, and Kang, with Lee, get to clean their class windows. When Kang returns home, he finds a package waiting for him. He opens it. It contains a cell phone and some info. The info states that the suspect for the assassinations is a man named Buk Do-sung, an agent from Section 35. Kang's orders are to find this man and kill him. Kang gathers the necessary equipment and breaks into a man's house. He beats him up and interrogates him about Buck. The man gives him a lead to a butcher who supposedly has seen Buck. He then tries to escape, but Kang gives him one more lethal lesson. When he returns at school, he finds Lee being harassed once more. He helps her clean the mess the bullies have made and stays calm. Kang sits in front of the piano in the ballet classroom, and that brings back a memory of his. His younger sister playing the piano and him joining in. In his memory, he calls his sister Yin, which is also Lee's surname. Lee interrupts his memory when she walks into the classroom and apologizes. Kang says it's okay, he was just leaving. Lee practices some moves on her own, but the other girls walk in and see her. They give her a hard time and make fun of her. Kang visits the butcher, and the man gives him Buck's car plate number, but then the butcher tries to fight Kang, a fight since which involves lots of meat breaks, and Kang eventually kills the butcher. Kang spots Buck's car. Buck walks into it and drives away. Kang follows him with his motorbike. He tries to shoot him, but Buck makes it difficult for him. Buck crashes his car on some obstacles and there is nowhere to go. Kang walks up to him, but he can't do anything either. There are people who have gathered around and some youngsters recording on their phones. Buck and Kang stare at each other, and Kang has no other choice but to flee. Police analyzes the footage from the incident while Kang runs some laps in his school's interior basketball court. He calms down and hears some voices. His class's bullies have taken Lee aside and they steal her money. Kang walks in, and this time he won't be easy on them. He beats all of them up, leaving them with some fractures and broken arms. A couple of days later, Lee changes her haircut and asks Kang for a favor, to pretend he is her older brother. She has found a job, but she needs an adult to sign for her. Kang goes with her and indeed signs as her older brother. They spend the rest of the day together. Lee says that Kang liked it when she called him bro in front of that employer. She comments that people who don't have siblings like being called that. Kang says he has a younger sister. Lee tells him that she wants to travel and go to Europe. She has looked it up and there are lots of dancing groups there. Seems like Kang's foster parents are not that innocent themselves. Buck speaks with his accomplices and they hint him to them. They pay them a visit and kill them both. Buck's accomplice opens a safe and he steals some stacks of cash and some packages from in it. Buck tells his accomplices to go while he sits on the sofa. Kang returns home and finds his foster parents dead. He meets with Buck and they fight. They are both strong and able to turn the tables at each other. Finally, Kang stabs Buck with a knife and kills him. Kang then stages an accident. He cuts a gas pipeline open and sets the house on fire to burn any clues along with it. The police visits Kang's house because they have made a connection that this was the last residency that bought a Ducati bike, like the one that Kang rides. They say that the house is burnt and they research it. At the police station, they find out that $30 million have been laundered by Kang's foster parents. The chief says to file the case as a gas explosion for now. Kang runs for help to the woman that we saw in the first scene of the film, the one who is drinking with his father. She helps him and feeds him. She asks him if he has a family, and Kang shows her the same picture that his father had shown her 2 years ago, the night he was killed. He calls her Grandma. The colonel meets with some influential people and they decide to pay back Section 35. Kang receives a new package with a phone and some information. The colonel calls him and says that the party has decided to give him a bigger role. They're going to hit back on Section 35. Kang asks how his sister is doing. The colonel says that this will be Kang's last mission. If he brings back what was taken, he will be able to meet with his sister. Kang prepares and watches a video on his phone. It's his little sister saying that she heard he will be back soon. Kang takes his place on a rooftop and watches over his target. A car pulls in a warehouse and a seemingly important man steps off the car. He has come to get the package. One of Buck's accomplices presents him with a case full of diamonds worth $30 million. Kang breaks in the facility and uses his pistol and a grenade to kill them all and retrieve the case. Kang grabs a gift for Grandma, a sweater, and gives it to her. He tells her that he would like to see her back at the house. Grandma says she can't do that. She has to stand her ground and play her role as the backbone of the organization. She tells him to go back and reclaim his life. If possible, to be a normal teenager for as long as he can. Kang visits Lee in her workplace, which is a ballet center. She has the whole room to herself and she practices. Kang wants to have a word with her. He tells her that he is going to meet his sister and Lee asks him to stay in touch. Kang bangs on a man's door at his store near the harbor. He tells the man that he's here to get on the boat. He wants to return to North Korea and his sister. The man gets Kang on the boat, but then attacks him with a knife. He says that no agent makes it back alive. Kang disarms him and kills him, tossing him in the water. At the same time, the police gets an order from the high ranks to clean up Unit 8. They start making some arrests. Kang returns to Grandma, who is resisting arrest. She is threatening a man, and the police has surrounded her. She shouts for Kang to leave. She then charges towards the policemen, and they shoot her. The head of the SWAT team spots Kang and runs after him. Kang surprises him and points his gun at him. The commander tells Kang to turn himself in. There is nothing he can do. The North has abandoned him. Kang runs away. Kang has nowhere to go, so he runs to the only friendly person he knows, Lee. Lee takes him in and sees on the news that Kang is a part of a spy network. His identity has been revealed, and he is now a fugitive. But that will not stop Lee for caring for Kang. The colonel has been arrested in North Korea, and he is being tortured. He asks the officials to send him in the South. If they do, he will be able to bring the package back. The police commander gets to Lee in the grocery store and asks her if she has seen Kang. They used to be close at school. Lee says that she has not seen him in months. The news report that Kim Jong-un becomes the ruler of North Korea. All the while, the colonel lands in South Korea with the guy who was torturing him. The colonel calls Kang and tells him he is in the South. He says he has brought Kang's sister along. He wants Kang to hand him the Section 35 package. Kang meets with the bad guys to trade the diamonds for his sister. The police gets thrown in the mix, and a gunfight starts. The police seizes Hien, but the bad guys now kidnap Lee. Kang calls the police commander and tells him he has to do one last thing, and then he will surrender. He gets to speak with his sister for a moment. Kang goes to the meeting point and calls the police commander. He lets the call run so that the police can trace his location. Kang manages to take out most of his rivals and free Lee, but he is severely hurt. Luckily, the commander joins the fight and momentarily saves Kang, taking out their last remaining rival, the colonel. He and Lee intend to drive Kang to the hospital, but Kang succumbs to his wounds and dies in the car. The film ends by presenting Lee walking in the police station to meet with Hien and take her under her protection. The two ladies walk together while Kang's voice narrates the contents of a letter that he left for Lee. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel grow. Thank you for watching.